will do if they win this afternoon. It'll be Kilgus against Darling. And stay with us for exciting Chicago Cub baseball coming up in a moment.
Cubs baseball is brought to you in part by Budweiser, for that clean, crisp taste. This Bud's for you. Your Chicagoland, Northwest Indiana Better Buick dealers. The great American road belongs to Buick. True Value Hardware. For quality, selection, and personal attention, make True Value Hardware your store of first choice. The Chicago Tribune, where you'll always get the freshest sports. Unical 76, who invite you to go with the spirit of 76. Pepsi Cola, the choice of a new generation. Canon, proud to be the official camera of the Chicago Cubs. United Airlines, rededicated to giving you the service you deserve. Come fly the friendly sky. And Nissan, building cars for people who want more than just a means of getting from here to there. Nissan, built for the human race.
Again, everybody, Harry Carey from Shea Stadium. A beautiful, beautiful Sunday afternoon, perfect for baseball. The fourth and final game of this tough series here today, and the Cubs need a victory to get an even break. They've lost two tough ball games, 3-1 yesterday, 4-3 Thursday. They beat the Mets 8-4 in between, and they're hopeful of winning to get an even break in the series against a team that most people are picking to win the Eastern Division title. I'll be back with the lineups now in a moment. Hello again, everybody. With Steve Stone and Dwayne Stats, Harry Carey at Shea Stadium for the final of a four-game series, and the Cubs need a victory to gain a split. And if they could return home still in first place, it will have been a job well doing.
And if they do get a victory, the Cubs will return home 4-5 off the longest road trip of the year with that one rain out against Philadelphia. And I'm sure they would consider this a successful trip because they played two of the three contenders and a very surprising Philadelphia team.
You know, the difference between these two teams in runs scored in this three-game series is one. The Cubs have scored 12 runs in these three games, and the Mets have scored 11. Yet the Mets lead 2-1. Here are the lineups for the Cubs. Walton in center, Webster in left, Sandberg at second, Dawson in right, Grace at first, Law at third, Dunston the shortstop, Girardi catching, and Paul Kilgus, who's won one, lost two, will be the pitcher. For the Mets, it'll be Wilson, Mookie Wilson in right field, Dykstra in center, Tuffle at second, McReynolds in left, Hernandez at first, Johnson at third, Carter catching, Elster playing shortstop, and Ron Darling, who is 0-3 with a high earned run average of 11.57, doing the pitching. The umpires are Steve Ripley, Bruce Fleming, Terry Tata, and Dana DeMute.
There you take a look at Ron Darling, and what a difference a year makes for Darling. Last year, 17-9. When you look at his numbers in Shea Stadium last year, they're just staggering. He went to the mound 19 times here in New York. His record was 14-1 at home. He was just absolutely unbeatable. But this year, it's a whole different story. After finishing the spring with 17 straight scoreless innings under his belt, he came out and went 2 innings against Montreal. The last time out against Philadelphia on April 18th, he went just 2 2/3 innings, giving up 6 hits and 7 earned runs. And he is a struggling right-hander at this point.
All right, here's Jerome Walton stepping in the batter's box. A one game that there's a drive in the left field, and it's going to be caught. Walton hit the first pitch hard to McReynolds in left field for the out. The one game the Cubs won, I started to say Walton led off with a double. They got 3 runs in the first inning and later went on to win it 8-4. 1 out, here's Webster. He's had 4 out of 11 in the series. Walton's had 3 out of 12. 1 out, Webster hitting .393. First pitch is in there, it's strike call.
Despite Darling's very impressive lifetime record, he's only 6-7 with a .380 ERA against the Cubs.
There's a strike call. And Webster's in the hole, 0-2. 1 man out, nobody on. Ryan Sandberg is next. Webster hitting .393, no homers, 6 RBI. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
Used to see a 90+ mile-an-hour fastball from Ron Darling, and that's not the case any longer. He throws about 86, 87 miles an hour.
The pitch is in the dirt, gets away from Gary Carter, and the count is evened up. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Too bad Webster didn't swing at that one because he'd have reached first safely. The ball got away, and he checked his swing in time. 2 balls, 2 strikes. High, lazy fly ball. Dykstra in center field. 2 men up, 2 men down. Here's Sandberg hitting .292. 1 homer, 10 RBI. 4 out of 12 in this series.
Darling has shown great versatility and the ability to go to the mound for the Mets. He's thrown over 200 innings, 5 straight years for New York. He's won in double figures each of those years, and he comes into this game 73-44 lifetime, and that is one valuable pitcher.
Yeah, but maybe that's why his velocity is down, all that pitching.
It's a possibility.
2 out, nobody on. 1 ball, no strikes. Darling, a graduate of Yale. Handsome kid. 28 years old. There's a ground ball. Right at Johnson. Throws the ball across the diamond. And the Cubs go down easily. 1-2-3. We go in the bottom of the first, no score. Harry Carey back at Shea Stadium. Mookie Wilson will be leading it off in the Mets. Well, a couple of greetings here. First of all, Jim Fry wants to send his best to his mother Rose, who's watching the game in Cincinnati. And first base umpire Bruce Fleming sending greetings to his lovely wife Rose Marie, who's listening and watching at their Wisconsin home. Now the pitch is a strike call. Greg Harris watching the game in DeKalb, Illinois, son of Arnie. Mookie Wilson, switch hitter. Fouls it out of play, 1-2. Kansas City leads at Boston 4-0 at the end of 1.
With a left-hander on the mound, as you look at Howard Johnson. Davy Johnson flip-flops his lineup and puts Wilson at the top and Dykstra second.
He struck him out. Mookie Wilson goes down swinging. That brings up Lenny Dykstra.
Dykstra off to a great start. And one of the reasons why is he's playing a little man baseball. He doesn't want to hit fly balls. Here's a guy who has to worry about his on-base percentage, and right now it's exceptional, as you see his batting average. But for the first year, Len Dykstra is concerned about the base on balls. His on-base percentage at .476. He's the usual leadoff hitter for the Mets, and that's what you have to work on, being patient and taking some strikes.
1 out, nobody on. Strike call. 1 strike to nothing. No score, first inning. There's a ground ball to Dunston. He's got it. Goes to first for the out. 2 men away.
Dunston was playing in a little more shallow because he knows that Dykstra can get down the line. That was a squibber off the end of the bat, and Sean threw him out easily, and gone are the days when Sean is going to lollipop the ball to first base. He's been told by his manager to get everything he can on it, and he is rifling across to Mark Grace.
Bruce Fleming working at first base today. His home is in Brown Deer, Wisconsin. That's where his wife, Rose Marie, and the 2 kids are watching the ball game today. Here's Tim Tuffle playing second, hitting .381. Pitch outside.
The opening night saw 2 of the Mets go down. Tim Tuffle, one of them, had a hip flexor problem. Darryl Strawberry, the other Met, lost for maybe up to a week. They're not sure yet. He's on a day-to-day basis. He hurt his right shoulder swinging the bat and later diving in the outfield.
There's a strike call. You know, Bruce Fleming's got to be a confident sort of a guy. Looking at one of the umpire's cards about Fleming, it says one thing he'd like to change about himself: nothing. So that's a confident guy. The person he'd most like to meet, Clint Eastwood. And what he'd be doing if he weren't an umpire, he'd be a policeman. There's the pitch a little bit inside. 2-2.
Close to the same thing without a squad car, I guess.
Very, very close to the same thing. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Line drive, base hit. Tuffle lines a single to right. And that will bring up Kevin McReynolds, who has 1 homer, 4 RBIs for the year, hitting .241.
There's a little added pressure on Kevin McReynolds with Darryl Strawberry out of the lineup. Strawberry, the big home run hitter of this club. McReynolds now has to think about some power in the number 4 spot. This is not a powerful lineup.
One ball, no strikes, 2 out, a runner at first. Tuffle not overly fast, average speed, I guess.
This lineup has generated only 7 home runs thus far this year.
Ball 2 inside. Kansas City leading the Red Sox 4-0 going into the 2nd inning. Phillies out in front of the Pirates 2-0 at the end of 1. There's a fly ball going to be caught nicely by Andre Dawson to retire the side. No runs, 1 hit, 1 left at the end of 1. No score. Here's Andre Dawson to lead it off for the Cubs. Fastball outside. Texas jumped out in front of Toronto 2-0 at the end of 1. That's Nolan Ryan pitching for Texas. A high pop foul out of play.
Ronald Maurice Darling, born in Honolulu, Hawaii, threw an 11-inning no-hitter against St. John's in the NCAA playoffs when he pitched for Yale. Only he wound up losing that one 1-0 in the 12th inning. And it's still the longest no-hitter in NCAA tournament history.
Long, and he missed. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
Arnie tells me it was against Frank Viola, so 2 pretty good guys went head-to-head in that 12-inning affair.
1 ball, 2 strikes. He didn't mean to swing. A little dribbler. There's a throw. They get a nice play by Elster. He's trying to run his string of errorless games at 77 in a row.
Fine play by Kevin Elster. Dawson doesn't mean to swing, but now he smells base hit. And he's letting it all go down the line. Elster has to charge the ball aggressively. And in the same motion, get it across to Keith Hernandez. They do it and get Andre Dawson by a step.
That's 4 men in a row retired by Darling. Strike call. Grace has had only 2 hits and 11 times at bat against the Mets. Count is evened up at the ball and a strike.
1987 found Ron Darling tearing some ligaments in his thumb diving for a bunt against the Cardinals.
High outside, ball 2.
He was very fortunate that a 45-minute surgical procedure was performed and performed well.
3 balls and the strike. Ball 4, he walked him. There's the first base runner for the Cubs. In case you're wondering what Ron Darling studied at Yale University, he specialized in Southeast Asian and French history. I'm sure he's using that now.
Trying to stop from walking people, I think. Davey Johnson has talked to him about being too fine, nipping at the corners. He wants him to throw the ball, and he thinks the reason why his velocity is down is that Darling has been content to just pick at the corners, almost become a dart thrower rather than a pitcher who lets the fastball go on occasion.
Here is Vance Law taking a fastball outside. Law is 0 for 8 against the Mets. Patty and Bill Indelacato from South Bend, Indiana are here, pulling for the Cubs. There's a base hit, and it's going to roll deep all the way to the wall, maybe. Here's a runner trying to score. Now he's held up. A double to left center, and McReynolds kept them from going to the wall, and that's what prevented the run from scoring.
You throw 5 straight bad ones, and the hitter suddenly is looking for a fastball right down the middle, and that's exactly what Vance Law got. This is a fine play by Kevin McReynolds. And Kevin Elster said that the reason why McReynolds gets to these balls in the gap is that the outfield is slow, especially on the first hop. Ordinarily, this ball goes to the wall if the outfield wasn't quite as slow, and the Cubs would have had a run. But Law settles for a double, and Ron Darling is in trouble.
And here's Sean Dunston, only 1 out of 7 against the Mets. Doug Latino watching the ball game here. His mom and dad, Sam and Irene Latino, are watching in Sarasota, Florida.
To this point, the Mets have confidence that they're going to score some more runs because they've got the infield back. And that means that they will concede the run on the ground ball. Sean Dunston has got to be selective in this situation.
1 man out, runners at second and third. Outside, ball 1. Sean Dunston hitting only 176. Law was hitting 170 when he doubled to left center. Into the dirt, great save by Gary Carter, saving a wild pitch.
Gary Carter still has very good mobility to either side, and although he's had his problems throwing the ball, he's one of the best in the business at doing just that. Getting in front of it, stopping the ball, and now they're not going to take a chance on Dunston. They're going to put him on first, leave it up to Joe Girardi.
So Dunston being intentionally passed. Joe Girardi hitting 262, 0 for 2 against the Met pitching. Steps up with the bases loaded. So the Cubs with a chance here. And this is one of those situations where you need a base hit to have an inning.
Kevin McReynolds has the best arm in the outfield. He also has the most accurate arm.
Strike call. And he's ahead of him. 1 strike. The infield playing back, hoping to go for the double play. Paul Kilgus will be next. Low to even the count. Marianne Lynn and their daughter Michelle and Denise from Naperville, Illinois, watching the ball game. 1 ball, 1 strike, 1 out, bases loaded. 0-2 outside. And Gary Carter wants to go out and talk to Ron Darling.
Just what we were talking about earlier. Gary Carter is telling Darling to throw the ball. He's trying to pick out just a little spot low and away and try to throw that fastball over the extreme outside corner. That only gives you 1 inch of the 17 inches of the plate you have to work with. If you start breaking the plate down in thirds and throw for the outer third, you've got a chance. But right now, Darling getting behind, and that's what's hurt him.
2 balls and a strike. Boy, oh boy. High pop fly on the infield. The only thing you didn't want to see. Girardi pops out Hernandez. 2 gone. Over-eager, over-anxious.
The story of the youthful hitter in the major leagues.
Absolutely.
Not picking out a good pitch, something he can drive, swinging at a pitcher's pitch and popping it up.
Here's Kilgus. Strike call. A moment ago, bases loaded, only 1 out. Dreams of a big inning. Now it's up to the pitcher if we're to score. That evens a count, a ball and a strike. Bases are loaded, but 2 are out. Ball 2. Low and inside.
Squandered opportunities have been the lament on this road trip. The Cubs have put a lot of men on, as you look at Mel Stottlemyre and Davy Johnson.
2 balls and the strike. The pitch. High pop fly. Easy out. Dykstra calling for the ball to retire the side. The bases are left loaded. At the end of an inning and a half, no score. Harry Carey back in New York. Keith Hernandez will lead it off. Well, the Cubs fill the bases with 1 out, but Girardi and Kilgus each popped out to end the inning. There's a strike called. 0-1.
There's an oddity in the National League. I guess you'd call it parity. But of all the ball clubs, the hottest teams in the last 10 games have been 6-4. Nobody is on any kind of streak.
Little tap right to the mound. Busted his bat on that one. 1 out. As Kilgus throws out Hernandez. Here's Howard Johnson batting right-handed, being a switch hitter. Philadelphia out in front of Pittsburgh, 2-0 in the bottom of the 2nd.
Howard Johnson has been a much better hitter from the right side, although he hasn't had much of an opportunity, facing mostly right-hand pitchers. He's been to bat 9 times. He's got 4 hits, hitting .444 as a right-hand hitter. However, he's got more power from the left side, both of his home runs coming as a left-hand hitter.
See, the Cardinals won the first 3 games of a 4-game series from Montreal. There's a high drive, going to be caught. Jerome Walton is there, and he has it. 2 men gone. Here's Gary Carter.
What you have to
hitting
like,
133.
what you have to like about Kilgus so far is that he's challenging the Met hitters. He's throwing the first pitch for a strike. The Mets have been very anxious. Apparently, the scouting report on Kilgus is he will get the ball over. They have not been a patient club to this point, and they're helping out Kilgus by swinging at some pitches that he'd like him to swing at on the strike 1.
In the Eastern Division, every team in the division in its last 10 games, except St. Louis, has won 5 and lost 5. The Cardinals are the exception. They've won 6 and lost 4. The Phillies and the Cubs are tied for first place. The Cardinals are a half game out. Montreal 1 back. Let's pause here for identification.
You're watching Cubs baseball on WGN, Chicago's very own Channel 9.
A ball and a strike on Gary Carter, looking for his first home run of the year. drive, pop fly. Girardi's calling for it, and he makes the catch to retire the side. At the end of 2, no score.
By Pepsi Cola, the choice of a new generation.
Harry Carey and Steve Stone from New York as we go into the top of the 3rd with Jerome Walton leading it off. Flat out on the first pitch in the first inning. He bunts. It's going to be a tough play, and he beats it out for a hit. That's his 5th hit, which was a bunt so far this year.
That's why he's so dangerous bunting the ball, because not only can he drop it down 3rd, but watch Darling. Darling sees him square around a bunt and breaks to the 3rd base side. That's all it took, and nobody can get to first base in time to retire Walton, who's in there easily. What a great bunt that was. Put it exactly where he wanted to put it.
Now everybody talks about the Mets as a great organization. It isn't through the players that they necessarily have developed themselves that they're good. For example, Darling was acquired from Texas along with pitcher Walt Terrell for Lee Mazzilli in the trade back in 1982. Then they traded Terrell to get Howard Johnson from the Tigers. Gary Carter from Montreal acquired in a deal. Tuffle from the Twins. Here's a pitch now instead over to first, a runner back.
Hernandez
from the Cardinals.
McReynolds from San Diego.
And we could name some more, which we will in a moment. Mitch Webster flat out his first time up. Line foul outside first base.
Harry, what a good organization does do, though, is allow you to trade 4 of the guys from your organization to get Kevin McReynolds. Guys like Sean Abner, who everybody thought was going to be a star, Stan Jefferson, who they thought was going to be a star, all going to San Diego, 4 of them in all for Kevin McReynolds. Then you trade 2 guys from your organization, get Keith Hernandez. And so a good organization helps you get the cream of the crop from other people's organizations, and it works hand in hand.
And how about their pitching? Dave Cohn, Sid Fernandez, Terry Leach. Whoa, the wild pitch. And there goes a runner down to second base. And so the Cubs now have a runner at second and nobody out.
Second wild pitch of the year. This one is well up and in. Now Carter should have made this catch. This might just go as a pass ball, but they're calling it a wild pitch. That's a play Gary Carter should have made. And just before the wild pitch, you saw a picture of Frank Cashin, who's the fine general manager of the New York Mets, and there he is, the mastermind of so many fine trades.
Bob Ojeda, they got acquired from the Red Sox. Here's Webster with a count of a ball and a strike. Into the dirt. Boy, Darling is having trouble.
And there's the call to the bullpen. Ron Darling is really struggling with his rhythm and his mechanics on the mound. He doesn't look like the same fluid pitcher who won 17 last year. The same man who was 14-1 in this ballpark. And he's all over the place. Up and in, low and away. He's just struggling.
2 balls and a strike. There's a strike called, and that evens up the count 2-2.
Very important that the Cubs get on top of Darling, at least in this inning, perhaps the next inning, because he could get his rhythm at any time. And a struggling pitcher who's let off the hook the first few innings sometimes finds the magic and then shuts you out the rest of the way.
2 balls, 2 strikes. Ground ball, a big hop. Hernandez steps on the bag. But Walt now's at third with only 1 away. And here's Sandberg.
This is a situation that Rhino has not excelled in the last couple of years. Man at third, less than 2 outs. Same situation that Vance Law had such a spectacular year last year. And this is a big at-bat. The Cubs want to get on the board. Rhino looking for at least a fly ball to score Walton. Infield still back. they're still going to concede the run.
The outfield is straight away. Sandberg's 4 out of 13 in this series against the Mets. Curveball in there. He was breaking ground.
You can tell a good breaking ball because a hitter sees his knees buckle, and then you can't get anything into a swing, so Rhino just took it for strike one.
Now he's in the hole 0-2 with the foul ball. He didn't have a good swing again. It looks like he's kind of falling away from the plate.
That was a straight change of Darling. Sandberg looking for a fastball. Darling had good motion on that, and that is the key to the straight change. You can't change your arm location, and you can't change the velocity your arm comes through. So you have to find some way to kill the speed of the ball, and it's usually done in your hand by the grip.
Dropped him out. Boy, oh boy. 2 men away. Here's Andre Dawson. A long fly, don't do a bit of good now, unless it's long enough to get out of the ballpark.
Wind is swirling here in New York. It's another breezy day. The flag says it's blowing in toward the Cub dugout, but with the swirling winds here in Shea, you never really know how it's going to affect it in the outfield. So you see the outfielders many times throwing up some blades of grass to see just how the wind's blowing on a given pitch.
Fastball outside and low, ball one. Webster grounded out, doing his job though, because he got Walton around to third with only one away. But then Darling struck out Sandberg. Now here's Andre Dawson. He had a wicked cut that fouled it back.
That's the pitch that Andre wanted to hit. It was up and on the inner half of the plate. Just a little too high for him, and he fouled it straight back. And from a pitching standpoint, when a man does foul the ball straight back, you know that he's right on it. He just missed it, and you've got to make an adjustment. You didn't fool him with the speed. You didn't fool him with the location. So it's up to you to try something else.
1 ball, 1 strike. And he's in the hole now. 2 strikes in the ball. 2 men out, a runner at third. The Cubs had the runner at second with nobody out a moment ago. Then they had the man on third with 1 out. He's still at third with 2 out. And Dawson is behind on the count. 1 ball and 2 strikes. That evens it up, 2-2. How about Baltimore leading the Eastern Division? By a half a game over Toronto.
With a record of 8-8.
Yeah.
So nobody's hot in the American League East.
2-2 pitch. Ball 3. 3 balls, 2 strikes.
Gary Carter is getting a workout early from Ron Darling, who's throwing the ball all over. Once again, Carter asked to make a run-saving stop. This is a changeup. And you see Carter shifting his weight, getting the ball right in front of his body, and then extending his hands to make sure that he knocks the ball down.
2 men out. Runner at third. No score. Three-two pitch. Ball 4. Boy, again Carter dived to his right to stop the pitch. And Dawson walks. That will bring up Mark Grace. He's been a cold hitter in this series. Only 2 out of 11.
It's obvious that Ron Darling wanted no part of Andre Dawson. And when you look up and down an opponent's lineup, you generally pick one man that you say to yourself, don't let this guy beat you in a game situation. 0-0. Andre Dawson is obviously that one man in the Cub lineup, and Darling just pitched around him.
Runners first and third, the pitch. Smash fair down the right field line. 1 run in. Here's another runner going to third. It's a double to right by Mark Grace. And the Cubs are out in front 1-0. Grace doubled right over first base down the right field line.
9th RBI of the year, and Mark Grace continues to answer the question, who's going to hit behind Andre Dawson? Against a right-hand pitcher, a left-hand hitter with 9 RBIs in the person of Mark Grace, who comes through, and this is a big run and a big lift for the ball club.
Now here's Vance Law. He doubled to left center in the second. Boy, what a spot to do that again. Runners at second and third. Nice save by Gary Carter. Darling throws a pound ball or fork ball, doesn't he?
He throws a straight change, Harry. He was working on a forkball for a while. I don't think he ever really perfected it. The straight change has been a very good pitch for him. But right now he's just steering everything right into the dirt. And Gary Carter is getting quite a day's work.
All too low. 2 balls, no strikes. Vance Law, the hitter.
Looks like he's decided with the open base that if Vance Law wants to swing at something out of the strike zone, he's going to let him. Let's see how close this pitch is.
Swings, and he had a good cut. Trying to hit the ball to right field that time. 2 balls and the strike. A run is in. The Cubs are out in front 1-0. Ball high and inside, ball 3. 3 balls and the strike. You know, Law will have the hitting privilege. 3-1. Ball 4. The bases are loaded again. A safe bunt by Walton. A walk to Dawson. A double down the right field line, scoring Walton off the bat of Grace. Now a walk to Law. And here is Sean Dunston. Only 1 out of 7 against the Mets pitching.
Nobody has to tell a pitcher when his fastball doesn't have enough pop on it. And right now, Darling is pitching like a man who's got no confidence in his fastball. He threw one to Law, and Law drove it into left center field the first time up. And right now he's trying to get by on this curveball and a straight change. He's very rarely has thrown the fastball anywhere close to the plate.
His earned run average is 11.57. He's 0-3. Right down the middle of fastball. Sean Dunston hitting only 176.
That only 3 times in 173 previous starts going into this year had he failed to go through the 3rd inning. And he's now done it 2 out of 3 times this year. A remarkable stat for a very fine pitcher.
0-1 the count, bases loaded. High pop foul out of play. And 0-2.
This is where Dawson's going to have to be heads up, because Darling has been steering his pitches, and on 0-2 he might try to be nipping at that low outside corner. Pitches have a tendency to go in the dirt. Maybe he can get one by Gary Carter, who's stopped everything so far.
Dunston, you know, has a habit of chasing that low outside pitch. 0-2 the count. Barely got a piece of the ball, fouling it off, so he's still alive. 0-2. Second inning in a row that the Cubs have filled the bases. This time they've already scored 1 run. The bases still are loaded. Oh, for a hit. Fouled it back again. Looked like he got a high fastball that time.
Darling a little too close on 0-2. He's got a pitch to waste. And Gary Carter's probably thinking about throwing one out of the strike zone, getting an anxious Sean Dunston to swing at a bad ball. Darling is flirting with danger on that high fastball. If he does get it up there, he wants it just about head high to Sean.
0-2 the count. Low and outside. 1 ball, 2 strikes. He threw it exactly where Gary Carter wanted him to throw that one. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Law at first, Grace at second, Dawson at third. Fouled it off. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
Dunston in a pretty good battle with Ron Darling in front of the home folks. Sean leaving a lot of passes at every one of these games here in New York. And this series usually brings out the best in him.
One ball, 2 strikes, bases loaded. 1-0 Cubs in the third. Ball out on strikes. The Cubs score once. They lead 1-0. Leave the bases full as we go into the bottom of the third. Harry Carey with Steve Stone and Dwayne Statz from New York. Here's Kevin Elster to lead it off in the bottom of the third. 1-0 in favor of the Cubs. Line drive in the left center field, a base hit. Elster hit the first pitch hard to center. That'll bring up Ron Darling now.
Kevin Elster is becoming a good offensive shortstop as well as a defensive shortstop. Last year he hit .214, fielded everything. This year he's still fielding everything, but the bat is starting to come alive.
You know, with the bases loaded in the top of the third, Sean Dunston fouled off a number of bad pitches and then took the best pitch he got in all at that time at bat right down the middle for a called strike. The balk has been called on Kilgus.
No hesitation. And Steve Ripley doesn't hesitate at all when he called the balk on him. He didn't give him that 1 second pause. And you got a pitcher up there, you know the man's not going to be going. And you see it right there. He just went right through with it. No 1 second pause in the set position. And so they don't have to worry about the bunt anymore.
Well, they might bunt him over to third. Darling's a pretty good hitter for a pitcher. Never has hit a home run. He had .220 last year with 18 hits. During his lifetime, he's had 58 hits. Lifetime average 152. The infield is in now. Swings and he misses. That's what happened yesterday. The Cubs got away to a 1-0 lead. The Mets came back with 2 to take a lead that they never relinquished, as they won 3-1. Ball 2. Ball 1, rather. First pitch was called. A balk was called.
There's a look at Sam Perlazzo, the third base coach. Vance Law in close at third, and Mark Grace charging at first. And surprisingly, Ryan Sandberg in very close at second.
He's going to bunt. Bunt's foul.
Darling, with 18 hits last year, was one of the key members of a staff that was by far the best hitting pitching staff in the National League. 5 of their starters had over 10 hits. Only 10 pitchers in the entire league had as many as 10 hits, and the Mets had 50% of them. So these guys can swing the bats.
1-2 the count. A runner at second. Nobody out. Infield still playing in close. Expecting a bunt. Here comes Dunston in now, and he wants to talk to Kilgus. And Vance Law trots in. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
Use a different set of signs with a man at second base, and Sean Dunston wants to be aware of what sign they're using, because on a breaking ball, he wants to be able to go over and make a step or two to his right, thinking that Darling might be pulling a pitch.
Now Girardi out there talking to Kilgus. He just wants to be in on whatever they're talking about. One ball, 2 strikes. He's going to swing, and he strikes out. Darling goes down swinging. That's a second strikeout for Kilgus. And there's Mookie Wilson. Bam, his first time up.
Mookie off to a tough start, really not hitting the ball from either side of the plate. Lenny Dykstra has pretty much won the center field job every day. Mookie in right today because Darryl Strawberry is out with a bad shoulder.
There's a high fly ball, should be caught. Mitch Webster having trouble, but he makes the catch. He almost lost that ball in the sun. Wow. A great recovery, and he made the catch.
Mitch was fighting the sun all the way. You can see him right here. Now he starts to get in trouble as that ball goes right into the same path as the sun. But he gets an angle on it, which is what outfielders have to do, turn their body sideways, try to look at the ball at a different angle, and he was able to make the catch.
Here's Lenny Dykstra. Bounced out his first time. Elster in scoring position. The pitch almost hit him. Had to skip the rope to get out of the way. 1 ball, no strikes. Tim Tuffle next. Good right-handed hitter.
A lot of trade rumors swirling about with Dykstra going to various places. And he is a quality center field. One who can start on most teams in baseball. And the Mets decided to keep him right here.
1 ball, no strikes. Inside, ball 2.
Seattle asked for a bundle for Mark Langston, who was not signed this year. And Dykstra, Sid Fernandez were principals in the deal, along with Howard Johnson. The Mets just felt that that was too much to give up for Langston, even though Langston is a premier left-hand pitcher.
2 men around. 2 balls, no strikes on troublesome Lenny Dykstra. He had a cut, and he missed. Or foul tipped it. 2 balls and a strike. Dykstra's been a hot hitter. In the 6 games on this homestand, he's batting .461.
And the Mets 4-2 in those 6 games, so he's a principal part of the success at home for New York.
2 balls and a strike. Paul Kilgus shooting for his 2nd victory. Now he wants to talk to Girardi. Having a little trouble with their sign.
You don't think Joe is putting him down in Italian, do you?
No, they must have changed the signs. I think you talked about it a little earlier with Elster at second base.
Zimmer's talking with Dick Pohl about maybe we can get these guys a CB or something so they don't have to keep running out to the mound.
2 balls and the strike. The pitch. A little bit low, ball 3. 3 balls and the strike. The Cubs just haven't been able to get Dykstra out. Batting .500 against them. 3 balls and the strike. Looks down at the third base coach, see if he's got the green light, and he probably does have. Bouncing ball, foul. Now the count is full. 3-2, 2 out.
Kilgus wants to get him right here because he's got a tough right-hand hitter due up in Tim Tuffle. Tuffle's been one of the hottest Mets since the season started. And when you can get a lefty, and you are a lefty, you don't want to see that tough right-hand hitter coming up with a runner in scoring position. So this is a big pitch for Kilgus.
3 balls, 2 strikes, 2 out. Cubs lead 1-0. We're in the bottom of the third. Dwayne will be joining Steve after this inning. 3 balls, 2 strikes. Three and 2. The outfield straight away. The pitch. Strike him out! And he's out of the inning. 1 man left on base. Harry Carey from Shea Stadium at the end of 3. The Cubs are leading 1-0.
Cubs are leading 1-0 as we move into the 4th inning. Joe Girardi leads it off against Ron Darling. And he goes after the first pitch, lifting a high popper. Right side foul ball, and Keith Hernandez, leaning against the stands, makes the catch. With Steve Stone and our producer-director, Audie Harris, this is Dwayne Stats. Nice to have you with us here. Well, it's been quite a contest so far. The Cubs have left 6 men on, but they cling to that 1-0 lead.
So far, they've let Ron Darling off the hook, and you hate to see that with a good pitcher on the mound. They've had their opportunities, Dwayne. They haven't been able to cash in.
And you hate to give a fellow who has struggled as much as Darling has any glimmer of hope that things are starting to turn around. Paul Kilgus fouls this one down the right side. Cubs loaded the bases in the 2nd inning. Left them that way. Scored a run in the 3rd, but left them loaded again.
Paul Kilgus broke his bat. That was an outstanding effort by Keith Hernandez, going over into the stands to pull that foul ball out, taking away a would-be souvenir, retiring Joe Girardi. Kilgus made a great pitch to Len Dykstra to get the Cubs out of that 3rd inning. A slow curveball, 3-2 count. All Dykstra could do was look at it, and he retired a pretty tough man.
A strike to count on Kilgus. He shoots this one back into center field. Dykstra with the glasses down puts it away. Let's take a look at the catch on that foul ball hit by Girardi. There's Hernandez.
And you see him look down to see where the tarp is and how close he is to the stands. A fan reaching out, realizing that Keith has a chance, and that's just plain concentration on the part of a man with many Gold Gloves.
2 outs, bases empty, and the top of the Cub batting order, Jerome Walton, who bunted his way on to open the 3rd and scored the run. Walton bunted his way on yesterday. He takes the first pitch for a ball. Walton, 4 of 14 for the series now.
The big part of that last bunt, Dwayne, was that it was to the right side, and so you bring in the 1st and 3rd baseman when he comes up.
There's ball 2 low.
Anytime you can do that, you get a much better angle on ground balls. Now Hernandez figures he did it once. He's not going to do it again. I'll stay back. But Johnson is even with the bag at 3rd.
There's a strike. 2-1. We mentioned on radio the first 3 innings, Steve, Darling seems to be a lot more mechanical than we've seen him in the past. Ground ball off the glove of Johnson into foul territory, and Walton's digging for 2 as Elster chases it down. Walton makes the turn and will hold there. Walton hit that one off the glove of Howard Johnson.
And this is what happens when they think a man might be laying the ball down. You see how close Johnson was? If he's back at third, he's going to at least stop this ball and keep it in the infield. But the fact that he was in looking for the bunt meant that Walton had a chance to put that ball down the line off his glove, and now he's got a pair of them.
So Walton aboard with his 6th double of the year. And here's Mitch Webster. Mitch nothing out of 2. And pops it on the left side for Howard Johnson. And that retires the side. No runs, 1 hit, 1 left. Cubs have stranded 7. We go into the bottom of the 4th. 1-0 Cubs.
Later today on Channel 9, it's the story of country singer Loretta Lynn. Sissy Spacek stars in Coal Miner's Daughter. Today's 5 o'clock movie on Chicago's very own Channel 9.
Tim Tuffle opens the bottom of the 4th inning, taking the first pitch wide, ball 1. Tuffle singled to right field back in the first. One of 2 New York hits allowed by Cub lefty Paul Kilgus. And he picks up the corner there for a strike. It's 1-1.
Tuffle now able to get both hands on the bat. He had his hand surgically repaired, and it's a lot stronger than it was last year.
And there's a strike, so the count is now 1-2.
He said last year he was forced to wrap 2 fingers under the knob of the bat so he could get the same control, but it really hurt his power and hurt his bat speed.
The pitch, he pops it up on the right side. This one for Mark Grace. Grace just fair, takes care of that one. 1 out. For the left fielder, Kevin McReynolds. McReynolds, 3 out of 12 for the series, with a fly ball to right in the first inning. So he's 0 for 1. There's a base hit up the middle. So McReynolds collects the 3rd New York hit.
The Mets aren't waiting. They're going right after the first pitch thrown by Paul Kilgus. More times than not, it's worked because he's using thirds of the plate now instead of the corners. And if you can retire a man on 1 pitch, it certainly works to your benefit, especially in the later innings.
There's Keith Hernandez. Location, the key for Kilgus. He suffered from lack of good location in Montreal. Lasted only a 1/3 of an inning in his last outing. Now works to the veteran first baseman Hernandez. And the pitch is in there for a strike. Hernandez hitting 5th in the lineup. That represents a change in the lineup that Davy Johnson had put together most of the time. Hernandez has been in that 5th spot for 6 games now, hitting .286 out of that spot. Takes this one high.
Davy Johnson doing anything he can do to try to shake up this lineup because he knows that the offense just hasn't been there. And with Darryl Strawberry out of the lineup, he's got to work even harder. You know, the Mets have never been a team that played position baseball as far as a base at a time or hit and run and steal. But if they're going to have that big bat out of there too much longer, they're going to have to do those things, Dwayne, because they can't sit back and wait for the home run.
And Strawberry is now saying he doesn't know how long he's going to be out. There's a little tap foul. They were hoping that he'd be ready for their final series on this homestand following the Cubs series, but Strawberry with a strained tendon in that right shoulder says he's never experienced anything quite like this before.
Right now he's not able to swing the bat. Sore right shoulder. And they're thinking maybe a week, maybe perhaps a little longer, as he's talking with Greg Jeffries, trying to explain to the youngster how you hit home runs in the 30s every year.
And a liner into right, in there for a base hit. McReynolds will hold at second as Dawson hits Dunston with the throw. So McReynolds is at second as Hernandez off that 1-2 pitch solidly lines a single into right.
The Mets in a position where they have two aging veterans who are down in their production, Hernandez and Carter. But an older player is much more valuable if he's a left-hand hitter, simply because you face an overwhelming majority of right-hand pitchers. So Hernandez looks to be around a little longer than Carter and probably will be a little more effective over the long haul.
Yeah, the Mets have some decisions to make. Carter now 35. Matter of fact, they have a pretty good list of potential free agents. There's Carter on deck. Howard Johnson at the plate. First and second, one gone. And Johnson bounces this one foul. And Howard Johnson is one of them they're going to have to come to terms with. Mookie Wilson won, Lee Mazzilli, along with Hernandez and Carter. And Tim Tuffle, who's playing second base today. In a couple of those situations, you figure they'll probably resolve them rather easily. But a couple of the others, they're going to have to make some hard decisions on.
Arnie showing you Rick Sutcliffe, and there's another potential free agent, and a big one for the Cubs.
The pitch just missed. 1-1.
Johnson is not grounded into a double play this year. He's unusually fast for a power hitter. However, he is hitting from the right side. He does hit the ball hard. So a ground ball the Cubs might be able to turn to, and it's going to be up to Keith Hernandez, who does go down the line and breaks up a double play pretty well to take out anything at second.
1-1 the count. Johnson pops it up. Walton coming in. Now Dawson over there, and Walton taking charge in front of Andre makes the catch. Jerome Walton coming in from center field to take care of that high pop fly.
Little confusion as to who's going to take this. It's the center fielder's ball, and then Andre almost tackles Walton, but he manages to keep him upright.
Well, here's Gary Carter with 2 on and 2 out. You know, one of the other problems the Mets have to address with the veteran players, and Carter one of them, will they re-sign him or not? They also are aware that in their minor league system, which has been so rich with talent and in particular pitching, at this point they don't feel they have a big thumper coming out of that system ready to step right in and take the place of a Carter's bat, for an example. The pitch off speed in there for a strike.
Carter said something interesting. He said, look at the year that Bob Boone had last year. Hit 5 home runs, 36 RBIs. Everybody said he had a great year. Granted, he hit very high in the 290s. But Carter had 11 home runs, 40-some RBIs, and everybody said he's through. He said, I still have a lot of baseball left.
A bouncing ball by the mound. Carter falls down. Sandberg goes to first, and that retires the side. Carter fell down, getting out of the batter's box on that chopper over the mound. And the inning is over. No runs, 2 hits with 2 left. And at the end of 4, the Cubs still lead 1-0.
This copyrighted telecast is presented by the authority of the Chicago National League Ball Club, which has the right of approval of the announcers and is intended solely for the private, non-commercial use of our audience. The publication, reproduction, retransmission,
The pitch to Sandberg is high.
Or other use of the pictures, descriptions, and accounts of this game without the express written consent of the Chicago National League Ball Club is prohibited. The disclaimer in 2 parts.
There is ball 2. Next season, we're figuring on making that into a mini-series.
Not a bad idea.
Sandberg, Dawson, and Grace for the Cubs in the 5th. And a fly ball headed to center. Dykstra back to make the catch. How about Gary Carter ending the 4th inning? He tripped over his own bat, and the fans booed him for it.
And they booed him when he came out to take the warm-up pitches. Now you can see the bat get tangled up in his legs. Now let me say right off the top that it is very doubtful if he'd have beaten out this ball anyway. Carter without the great speed at this point of his career. However, tripping over your bat isn't recommended procedure for infield hits.
I'd like to have seen a close-up of Sandberg's face when he did come up with that ball. He was looking for a runner somewhere in the neighborhood of first base. And then all of a sudden he realized there was no runner there, and he finally located Carter. Threw him out easily. 1-0 pitch lined into right by Dawson. A base hit. 2 hops to Mookie Wilson. Show you how tough an audience the Mets play before. Roger McDowell, for an example. Here's a guy who saved 80 games over the last 4 years here and has been an integral part of the Mets' success. He had a bad spring, and for the Met home opener, when they introduced the squad individually, they booed him for having a bad spring.
Here's a guy who year after year has an ERA in the low 2s. And he and Randy Myers make a formidable duo out of that bullpen.
Here's Mark Grace. Pitch down, ball 1.
I really believe it has something to do with 4 major newspapers following the ball club and about 80 reporters always trying to ferret out the story. And eventually they'll get something, so they write about these guys, and if they're having a problem, if they're over 30 years old already, they're foretelling the end of their careers.
1-0 pitch, hit on the ground. Tuffle flags it down, has one play to Hernandez at first. Tuffle had to move too far to his left to go to second, and he had the play in front of him at first to get Grace. Grace, by the way, has the only RBI. He did come up with a big 2-out double for the Cubs in the 3rd. That's something the Cubs have been lacking, that key hit. Boy, with an extra hit or 2 on this road trip, instead of being 3-5, they easily could be 6-2 on this trip.
They've put enough men on base during the course of this trip in every game they lost, and most of the games, Dwayne, they've out-hit the opposition.
Vance Law with a double and a walk today. Takes this one too low for a ball.
With most of the Mets cashing in on off-the-field activities here in New York, maybe Tuffle will start a clothing business. Call it Tuffleware.
Let me write that one down. This one too high. 2-0. There we go.
There's the bridge.
No lake, but a bridge will do. There's 28-year-old Ron Darling.
6'3", 195. Very good size for a pitcher. And 5 straight years over 200 innings pitched for the Mets.
Including a little over 240 last year. Hard ground ball to short. And Elster goes to Hernandez. Law's out, and so are the Cubs. 1 hit, 1 left. Bottom of the 5th inning coming up. Cubs 1, Mets nothing. Kevin Elster opens the New York half the 5th, taking the first pitch down for a ball. Elster picked up his 2nd hit of the series in the 3rd inning with a line single into center, and then found himself balked up to second. There's ball 2. 2-0.
Kevin said he's never had any problem at any level with his glove, and he usually had no problems with his bat, but last year was disastrous for him. Davey Johnson mentioned that he got off to such a slow start that it just seemed to snowball for him. He never really got his confidence. But Johnson said he never doubted that Kevin Elster would be a very productive offensive player in the major leagues. A man with a little pop from the right side.
There's a strike on the outer part of the plate, and the count is 2-1. Well, he's more concerned with hitting the ball up the middle, taking it the other way, than he was last year when he hit 9 home runs trying to pull the ball, but he hit only 214. Rolls this one foul. So the count squares at 2-2.
Bill Robinson is a pretty good hitting instructor, and I think he works with hitters to their strength, not necessarily making him into the type of hitter that Bill Robinson was. Robinson was a power hitter, hit a number of balls out of the ballpark, and he had a type of swing that a power hitter would have. But he knows Elster is, in the long run, going to be a whole lot better if he hits line drives instead of fly balls.
Ground ball, third base, knocked down. Here's the pickup and the throw by Law. He got him. Nice play by Vance Law on a sharply hit ball. Law to Grace takes care of Elster.
This is a fine play by Law. He's a deep third. Longest throw in the infield, and you can see him set himself, realizing that he had some time. Elster runs well, but not well enough to beat this throw. And he hits this ball hard. Get a good piece of it, but Vance Law is equal to the task.
Brings up the pitcher, Ron Darling. Darling takes a strike. Cubs wrapping up the road trip. They'll be home Tuesday night to start a 6-game homestand. is a looper back of first, a foul ball, running the count to 0-2. The Cubs will have Tuesday night a ceremony before that ball game commemorating the 75th anniversary of Wrigley Field. And a tap third base side foul. And along with that, the Cub yearbook, the 1989 yearbook, also becomes available for $6. It not only profiles the players of the 1989 season, but also some fabulous photographs of Wrigley Field through the years as the Cubs observe happy birthday number 75 to Wrigley Field. And another foul ball, sharply hit, count holding at 2 strikes.
He wants to keep this ball away from Darling. Maybe drop that breaking ball over the outside corner. Ron's got the long pant look. Trying to help that low strike zone.
And he nubs this one. Foul. There it is. All the way down.
That's a good look, isn't it?
And the tap. So the count is still 2 strikes.
I want to send along best wishes to the Wetmore family. Big Cub fans looking on in Hinsdale.
One out, bases empty. Paul Kilgus working in the 5th. And he strikes him out. Strikeout number 4 for Kilgus. 3 of them have been swinging. He got Dykstra looking on the slow curve in the 3rd. Let's pause here for station identification.
You're watching Cubs baseball on WGN, Chicago's very own Channel 9.
Mookie Wilson, 0 for 2. Takes this one low for a ball.
I don't care how long you've been in the league or how young you are in the case of Paul Kilgus. When you come to a new team, you want to impress upon them that you can pitch.
Right back to the mound. He broke his bat, and Kilgus flips to Grace to retire the side. 1, 2, 3 at the end of 5. 1-0 Cubs. Clear, crisp afternoon at Shea Stadium in New York. We're through 5. The Cubs have a 1-0 lead, trying to earn a split of this 4-game series with the New York Mets.
You wonder if Sean Dunston is taking a look at Jerome Walton, seen what he's done bunting the ball. Walton's batting average up around 265. Maybe Sean will start putting a few down.
He goes after the first one, fouls it out of play for a strike.
But then again, maybe not.
Sean Dunston. He did try to bunt earlier in this series.
Bunted a little hard that night.
In the first game of this series, bunted it right back to the mound. Low outside, and the count is 1-1. The thing about Walton, though, he's persistent at it. He will attempt to put the ball down a lot. You got to stay with it. 1-1 the count on Sean. He takes a strike.
I think Sean gets frustrated, Dwayne, when he does try to lay down a bunt. If it's not a good bunt and he bunts it too hard like he did the first night of the series, then he'll stay away from it for 6 or 7 games, and that doesn't help you too much.
He pops it into short right. Tuffle starts out, but Wilson is there, and Mookie Wilson takes care of it for the out.
Dwight Gooden, Bob Ojeda, Darryl Strawberry looking on. And there's a few bucks amongst those 3 men. And payments many years into the future for the New York Mets.
Meanwhile, Joe Girardi swings and misses for a strike. You know, with Ojeda, one of the things the Mets did with him, of course, coming back from that finger injury, there's a ball low. The count is 1-1. Just based on him coming back, they extended his contract a couple years. Now he's struggling now, and they don't know if it has anything to do with that finger or not. They think not. This is Dykstra taking the fly ball hit by Girardi. 2 outs. But what a fine gesture that is by the club to do that with a fellow who had the fingertip of his middle finger on his pitching hand reattached to go ahead and extend the contract.
I ask Al Harrison, their senior vice president, if they felt that his finger was okay, and he said, what do you think? We extended him $1.2 million and $1.6 million, 2 more years on his contract. We believe his hand is okay, and we are hoping that he comes out of whatever is plaguing him at this point.
Here's Paul Kilgus. He breaks his bat and loops it over short and out of the reach of Elster. Paul Kilgus with a broken bat, base hit, picking up #1 in the big leagues. Kilgus looped it over Elster's head for his first big league hit. Here's the form.
He breaks the bat. It's not beautiful, but it looks pretty good to Paul Kilgus right now. Over a leaping Elster.
And they take the baseball out of play and save that for Paul Kilgus' trophy case.
And he does not want his jacket. Apparently he's pretty well heated up because it is a cool day in New York. I think we're going to go right from winter to summer. No spring this year. We've had cold weather in every
We've got to go through
stop.
spring now. Here's Jerome Walton. He lines one, and Elster makes a diving catch. He can play shortstop and made a heck of a catch there to Rob Walton. No runs, 1 hit. The Cubs lead 1. Elster gets a nice hand from the New York crowd. Bottom of the 6th coming up, 1-0 Cubs. With Steve Stone and our producer-director Artie Harris, Dwayne Stats from Shea Stadium. This game moving into the bottom half of the 6th, with the Cubs leading 1-0. The only run came in the 3rd when Jerome Walton opened with a bunt single and was later doubled home by Mark Grace.
This becomes the biggest hitter of the ball game for Paul Kilgus. He's got a retired Dykstra ahead of Tuffle and McReynolds, 2 tough right-hand hitters. And Dykstra's been very tough on the Cubs in this series and pretty tough on the National League overall this year.
Dykstra 4 of 10 in the series. Came into the game hitting .364. And the pitch is a strike. And I'll tell you, Kilgus made a heck of a pitch in the 3rd inning with a man in scoring position to get Dykstra on strikes. He got him looking.
Good slow curveball on a 3-2 count. There's a big group at Northern Illinois headed by Craig Harris, Arnie's son.
Kilgus takes this one up. 1 ball, 1 strike. Kilgus against Dykstra. Tuffle will follow, and then Kevin McReynolds. Cubs 9-7 on the year. And the Mets 7-9. 5 of the 7 victories for the Mets have been come from behind victories. Take a look at the play made by Elster to end the top of this inning, Steve.
There's nothing this man can't do with the glove at shortstop. He takes a sure base hit away from Jerome Walton, which would have been his 3rd of the day. Instead, it's just a hard hit out.
The count on Dykstra, 1-2. Dykstra fouls it back.
I'd like to see Kilgus come back with that slow hook. Dykstra, a very good fastball hitter. He gets down in a severe crouch and he's got a low strike zone. And one of the things he's working on is making that strike zone work for him by taking a few more pitches. But that off-speed Bacon pitch is something he's had trouble with. And you want to try to get him out on the front foot, looking for something hard in.
He missed to even the count at 2-2. He's not the kind of guy that if you get behind, you want to throw the fastball to and make it too fat, because while that strike zone is small and he's not very big, he's very strong and can hit the ball a long, long way. The count 2-2 right now. And he rolls it to first. He got in on him, and Grace takes care of it.
You know, Dwayne, it's best described, and I heard Rusty Staub talking about it, as a little man's game, as far as the game that Dykstra has to play as a leadoff hitter. He can't think about the long ball. He can't think about the fly ball. He's got to think about on-base percentage, bunting the ball occasionally, which is something that he can do fairly well. He did it effectively when Wally Backman was here, because Backman was talking to him about how to do it. And he is worried about his on-base percentage. It should be a pretty big year for him.
Here's Tim Tuffle. Tuffle 1 out of 2 with a single and a pop to first. Kilgus starts him with a strike on the corner on that outside part of the plate.
After a disaster in Montreal, Paul Kilgus has come back strong here in New York.
A popper Foul ball. Grace chases it but runs out of room.
And we started talking about how a new player coming to a new club feels. And Kilgus, after the bad outing in Montreal where he lasted a third of an inning, gave up 6 runs on 5 hits, I'm sure wanted to show this ball club that you can depend on him not only in Wrigley Field but away from home where the going gets tough on the road against good teams and tough ballparks. And so this was a very big performance for Kilgus.
There's a liner into right field. Dawson is there to make the catch. And the encouraging thing about Kilgus is that following this line drive by Tuffle, that of the last 6 outs, 4 have come on ground balls, 1 a strikeout, and then that line drive.
He also hasn't walked anybody, and what he's doing today, Dwayne, is throwing strike 1. He's getting on top of all the hitters early and making them hit defensively.
Here's McReynolds. He takes a strike. And most successful pitchers will tell you that's the most important pitch.
So look at the batting averages, 1 and 2 around the major leagues.
Ground ball foul. Ricochets right back to Law. 2 strikes the count on Kevin McReynolds. Off day tomorrow, comes home Tuesday night. One ball, 2 strikes.
Kevin swings a big heavy bat, 34 ounces as opposed to 31 swung by Kevin Elster. And he grabs it right down at the bottom. He can cover the plate.
Started to go, trying to check, fouled it. So the count holds at a ball and 2 strikes. McReynolds is one of those guys, as opposed to Tuffle, a guy who might get down on that end of the bat and not be overly affected by slipping a finger out. You know, Willie Stargell used to do that.
2 of them, which made his bat look even longer.
And a tap charged by Dunston. Throw to first, got him. And that takes care of the Mets in the 6th. A perfect inning for Paul Kilgus. 2-6. Harry will be over in a moment with the Cubs leading 1-0.
Harry Carey with Steve Stone and Dwayne Stats. We go into the top of the 7th. Mitch Webster will lead it off 0 for 3 today. 1-0. The Cubs lead. 1 ball, no strikes. There's a strike call, and the count is evened up. Darling now is the last 3 innings has pitched very well. Now the 1-1 pitch. He was going to bunt. The strike is called. The Cubs had a lot of chances to pick up runs in the 2nd and 3rd innings, leaving the bases loaded each time. So the 1 run that Mark Grace drove in is the ball game as of now. 2 balls, 2 strikes on Mitch Webster.
Bullpen up and going for the Mets now as we get down closer to the spot occupied by Ron Darling. He's due up 5th next inning. There's Rick Aguilera.
2 balls, 2 strikes. Here's a pitch. He follows it down the first base line. He may have gone after a bad pitch.
Nifty pickup by Jose Martinez, who's showing you some of his infield skills on that 1 hopper.
The Cubs have a day off tomorrow. Open a 3-game series with the Dodgers at Wrigley Field with the night game Tuesday night. Webster leading off. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Foul back to the screen.
You had a look at 4-0 Rick Sutcliffe. And there's pitcher. There's the baseball, always looking at the grip. Tools of his trade. You never want to be too far from it.
Only National League pitcher with 4 straight victories. The pitch. He struck him out. Webster goes down swinging. And that brings up Sandberg.
Had the feeling after the Cubs let Darling off the hook in both the 2nd and 3rd inning that he would eventually hit his stride. And he has done just that, making it a lot more difficult for Paul Kilgus.
Darling has fanned 3 and walked 4. He's given up 6 hits, and he trails 1-0. Here's Sandberg. High pop fly. Here comes Mookie Wilson under the ball. 2 out. That brings up Andre Dawson. Gooden and Strawberry talking there in the Met dugout. A couple of pretty fair baseball players. A little money on the hoof right there. A great pitcher and a great hitter. Here's Dawson. There's a long drive. Way back. It might be. It could be. It is. A tremendous home run high into the left center field bleachers. And the Cubs now lead 2-0. What's the true value? We haven't had a chance to say that very often. True value.
Another $100.
$100 for Andre Dawson's home run.
And that was a bomb given up by Ron Darling. The 4th home run he's given up this year. The 2nd by Andre Dawson, his 12th RBI, giving the Cubs a little daylight. A 2-0 lead against the Mets.
Now the pitch, here it is, to Mark Grace low. You know, Kevin McReynolds didn't even take a step. He just turned around to see how far it went. It was high into the left center field bleachers. And the Cubs lead 2-0. There's a strike ball, 2 balls and the strike. Now the delivery. Ball 3 low.
For the Cubs, only their 7th home run of the year.
2 by Dawson.
And Andre Dawson now has tied Jerome Walton for the club lead.
3 balls and the strike. Here's a high drive, right field deep near the wall. It's going to be caught by Mookie Wilson. 1 run, 1 hit. We go into the 7th, the Cubs leading 2-0.
The Chicago Tribune round tripper replay shows the home run went around 410 feet to left center field.
Carey back in the ballpark. 2-0 now in favor of the Cubs. Here's Hernandez to lead it off. Pitch a little bit inside. 1 ball, no strikes.
Mets have come from behind in 5 of their 7 victories, so this team is used to coming back. Largest deficit, a 3-run deficit to the Cubs the first night of this series.
The pitch to Hernandez. Strike call. Watch Dawson's home run again. High fastball, and he crushed it.
Kevin McReynolds just dead in his tracks, looks up.
1 ball, 1 strike. We're in the bottom of the 7th. Curve in there, a beauty. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
That's been the primary weapon of Paul Kilgus against the left-hand hitters, that tantalizing curveball that just freezes the left-hand hitter.
Nolan Ryan has a no-hit game for 5 innings at Toronto.
Seems like he does that every game, doesn't it?
Yeah. He had a perfect game for 8 innings, I think, earlier this year. And, of course, he holds a record for most no-hitters, 5. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Line fouled into the stand. Hernandez, a fine hitter and a fine first baseman. 35 years old now.
Keith, one of the few hitters that has never worn batting gloves. He says he just can't get the feel of the bat. It's not the same for him. Doesn't matter how cold it gets, he uses no gloves.
2-2 pitch. Ball 3 is low. Well-disciplined hitter. 3 balls, 2 strikes. We're in the bottom of the 7th. The Cubs lead 2-0. The Phillies leading Pittsburgh 4-3 at the end of 7th. Montreal out in front of the Cardinals 3-1 at the end of 4. Base hit for Hernandez. A single to center.
Dick Cole, Don Zimmer. Look at the lineup card. Mike Bilecki loosening up in the bullpen, but he's doing that just to get some work in between starts, and now the bullpen goes to work in earnest for the Cubs. There's Calvin Schiraldi. Rick Aguilera up in the bullpen for the Mets.
Here's Howard Johnson, 0 for 2 so far. You know the come-from-behind tendencies of the Mets. The pitch. Curve in there, a strike call. Kilgus would love to see a ground ball hit at somebody. 40,268 paid here today. Now the pitch. Inside, evens it up. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Mets have only grounded into 4 double plays this year, and Johnson is not in that list. He's a fly ball hitter, but maybe Kilgus can throw that sinker away from Johnson, catching him trying to pull it. And it might turn into one of those 6-4-3s that a pitcher loves to see.
Now the pitch. Ball 2. 2 balls and the strike. Dawson increased the Cubs' lead from 1 to 2-0. He swings and that evens it up on a foul tip. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Seattle leading in Chicago 5-1 at the end of 3. Detroit over Milwaukee 2-0 at the end of 3. Texas is blanking Toronto. Texas with Nolan Ryan on the hill. 4-0 at the end of 7. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Ball 3. 3 balls, 2 strikes. This is what he did with Hernandez.
And Kilgus is starting to get up a little bit with his pitches. That's generally the sign of a pitcher tiring. You don't want to do that to Johnson, who's got some good power from both sides of the plate. He wants to make sure he keeps this ball down.
3 balls, 2 strikes. Hernandez, a runner at first. Fouled outside third base. 3 balls, 2 strikes. Hernandez edging away at first base, 3-2. Nobody out. Again, he fouls it off. A lot of the Cub players out of the dugout out in the city in the sunshine. There you see them. 3 balls, 2 strikes. Cubs leading 2-0. The pitch. Line drive, center field, a base hit. Each hit came with 3-2. And that brings up Gary Carter.
Paul Kilgus getting a lot of pitches up, and now Joe Girardi out on the mound.
And here comes Don Zimmer coming out of the dugout. Boy, good hitters. When you get to 3-2, the odds do go into their favor.
Especially if they're looking fastball, Harry. And you know that you can't afford to walk Howard Johnson in that situation. Kilgus got a fastball out over the plate. Right now, Don Zimmer giving Schiraldi a chance to get loose in the pen. And pretty soon, Terry Tata will be sauntering out to the mound to try to break this up. I got to believe he's going to go to the pen, but that decision lies with Don Zimmer.
That's it. There will be a new pitcher. Kilgus has blanked the Mets for 6 innings. We'll be back with more following this message. Harry Carey back in the ballpark. Paul Kilgus, an outstanding job in 6 innings, 6 hits, no runs. He leaves 2 men on base. He didn't walk anybody. He struck out 4, and now he needs some help from Calvin Schiraldi.
Schiraldi comes into this one 1-0. The ERA at 2.19, on for the 8th time. He's got a save, 12 1/3 innings. He's only given up 6 hits. He's given up 1 home run this year. Walked 6, struck out 6. There you look at the numbers. And he's going to face Gary Carter, who's due up, but Davey Johnson might decide to make a change. He's got Mackey Sasser on the bench if he'd like to go to the left-hand hitter. You never know what's going to happen. Carter's struggling so far, 0 for 2 and 133 coming into this one. And Davey Johnson has got some pop on the bench, and most of it is from the left side. Mitch Webster relaxing with a new pitcher coming in, getting a little sunshine. A cool day here in New York.
And the other 2 outfielders, Jerome Walton, Andre Dawson, talking things over on center field.
Gary Carter has got a bat, and he is going to hit for himself. Now, a double play situation, you wonder if he's going to ask Gary Carter, who's not asked often, to lay one down. But it might not be a bad idea. You stay out of the double play. We'll see what Davey Johnson has in mind as you look at Kevin Elster. Keith Hernandez talking it over with Sean Dunston.
Gary Carter comes up with the 2 tying runs on base, nobody out. The wind blowing towards the left field wall. If he can make Carter hit the ball on the ground, he's got a great chance of getting the double play. Now the pitch. He bunts foul for a strike. And so Davey Johnson was playing for the tie. Wanting to get the runners over to second and third. Schiraldi making his 8th appearance of the year. Foul ball, strike 2 on the bunt. And now he's ahead of them 0-2.
And now Calvin Schiraldi, for the first time, is thinking strikeout. Sam Perlazzo meeting with Gary Carter. And Schiraldi would like to throw perhaps a breaking ball out away from Carter, trying to stop any contact at all. Carter's going to shorten his stroke, and he's going to be looking to try to hit the ball to right field.
0-2 the count. Runners at first and second, nobody out. Time is called. As some papers fly across the field. Schiraldi ready. The pitch. A little bit inside and high. His curveball did not break very sharply. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Johnson at first, Hernandez at second. Ball 2, and the count is evened up.
Nice stop by Joe Girardi on that sweeping breaking ball low and away in the dirt.
2 balls, 2 strikes. And this is as far as Girardi wants to go. Gary Carter. Straight hitter this inning, who's run the count to 3-2 after first being behind. 3 balls, 2 strikes. A low pop fly on the infield will be caught by Mark Gray. Carter pops out to Gray. 1 man gone. And that brings up Kevin Elster. He's 1 out of 2 so far today. Robbed on a great play by Vance Law in the 5th. Single sharply in the 3rd.
Lee Mazzilli in the on-deck circle swinging a bat. If Elster keeps it alive, that will be it for Ron Darling.
Now the pitch. Curve in there, a strike call. 0-1 the count. There's Mazzilli. And 1 the count. 1 out, 2 on, 2-0 in favor of the Cubs. Bottom of the 7th. That's a story in a nutshell. Strike 2, a fastball.
With Vance Law guarding the line against the double in this situation, Sean Dunston is playing up the middle because Elster primarily hits the ball straight away. The outfield is playing him the other way, but there's a big gap between Law and Dunston on the left side of the infield. So you don't want to throw him anything slow on the inside part of the plate. You don't want him to be pulling anything in this situation.
0-2 the count. Time is called. Balloon blows out in the field. And the balloon pops. 0-2 the count. He struck him out. A bullet of a fastball. 2 gone. And here's Lee Mazzilli, who hit a 3-run homer just before the Cubs came into town. Wednesday night, as a pinch hitter, he beat the Phillies with his 3-run homer.
This is a great pitch by Calvin Girardi. 0-2, and he fires a fastball that just overmatches Elster. Lee Mazzilli comes in at 286. He's 2 for 7 with a home run and 3 RBIs as a pinch hitter. And the only at-bats he's gotten this year have come as a pinch hitter.
2 out, 2 on. Curve over the outside corner. Strike call. Mazzilli, a switch hitter. Oh, and 1 the count. Mazzilli defying all superstition with a big number 13 on his back. 0-1 the count. A little bit outside. Again a curveball. Now ready? A little low. Ball 2. 2 balls and the strike. 2 out, 2 on.
Get the outfielders a few steps deeper than normal in this situation. They cannot allow the ball to go through to the wall. They'll give up the run, but they have to make sure that the trailer does not score. So you go back and you give up the blooper. You want base hits in front of you, not getting by you.
2 balls and the strike. The pitch to Mazzilli. Ball 3 is high. You know Mazzilli's up there to hit. 34-year-old veteran. 3 balls and the strike. Mookie Wilson next. That turns the count full now. 3 balls, 2 strikes on Lee Mazzilli.
Tense moment as you see Don Zimmer up, Dick Pole up, Zimmer and Chuck Cottier talking it over. And there you see Davey Johnson motioning maybe he's going to give him the hook.
3 balls, 2 strikes. The delivery. The bases are loaded. And here comes Mookie Wilson.
Mookie Wilson, a natural right-hand hitter, has learned how to become a good left-hand hitter. In the last few years, his batting average has been much better from the left side. Don Zimmer motioning to the fielders, play him straight up. Don't shade him to either side because Mookie hits the ball all over.
Mookie Wilson in his career has hit .332 against the pitching of the Cubs. So there's danger here. Strike called over the outside corner. The bases loaded, 2 out. A little wide. That evens it up. A ball and a strike. Hernandez at third. Johnson at second. Mazzilli at first. Mookie Wilson, the hitter, 0 for 3 today. Woo, what a cut he had. Wilson 2 out of 13 in the series. And now he's behind on the count. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Fine fastball hitter. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Bouncing ball. Got a chance. The run scored. He's claiming he was interfered with. And here comes Don Zimmer. Terry Taylor, the second base umpire, will not give him the call. 2-1 ball game.
Rhino says he got tangled up with Lee Mazzilli coming to field the ball. And you have to give that infielder a chance to field it. But in the opinion of Terry Tata, there was no interference, although Rhino did get tangled up with Mazzilli. In any event, it cost the Cubs a run on an infield chopper by Mookie Wilson. Goes as a base hit.
Not only that, but this brings up the biggest tormentor of the Cubs. Lenny Dykstra with the bases loaded.
Now here comes Sandberg. There's Mazzilli right in front of him. I don't know if he hit him at all, but Sandberg is claiming he did. I think you got to get the throw off, Harry, because it looked like when Sandberg fielded the ball, he was clear of Mazzilli. And Mazzilli is allowed to shield Sandberg as far as that's concerned. If he didn't touch him, and if the opinion of Terry Tata is he didn't touch him, then he's perfectly within his rights.
Let's see it again, Arnie. Let's see if he had a chance still to throw the ball. All right, let's watch him play again.
I don't think he touched him, Harry, and it looks like Sandberg had a chance when he fielded the ball. Mazzilli was well clear of Sandberg at second, but Don Zimmer is very hot.
Boy, what's going to happen next? Every game against these fellas. Somehow they come from behind. Now the 2-0 lead is down to 1 and the bases are loaded, and Lenny Dykstra is the hitter. Zimmer's still arguing with Terry Taylor. But what good is arguing with him? I think what might have happened, being bumped by the runner.
Looked like he didn't touch him, Harry.
He never looks at first base, apparently.
I think he had a play in that angle. Arnie, if you show that angle again, it looks to me like Sandberg had gotten the ball and had a play at first base. Now watch the runner and watch where Sandberg is after Mazzilli clears him. Right here, Lee goes by. Now watch. He's got 5 steps to get Mookie. He's looking at second base because he's umpiring and trying to get the call from Terry Tata.
Here's Dykstra now. 1 ball, no strikes. Dykstra's 0 for 3 today. Hernandez scored on that play, a single for Mookie Wilson. Strike call. A ball and a strike. Bottom of the 7th. Schiraldi trying to get out of a jam. Ball low. Girardi has trouble finding it. 2 balls and a strike. Dykstra has worn out the Cubs pitcher's fastball. They fall behind him on the count. He sits on their fastball and usually hits it. 2 balls and a strike. He swings and pops up. Mark Grace is calling for the ball. Makes the catch to retire the side. 1 run. 3 hits, bases loaded. At the end of 7, the Cubs lead 2-1. Harry Carey back at Shea Stadium. Nolan Ryan still working on a no-hitter over Toronto as Texas leads 4-0 in the 8th. And Rick Aguilera comes in the pitch for the Mets.
Aguilera with an ERA of 3.24, on for the 4th time this year, 8 1/3 innings, 9 hits and 3 earned runs. The bullpen for the Mets has been spectacular as a unit. Thus far this year, the cumulative ERA is 1.72. The bullpen has only given 9 earned runs in 47 innings. They've converted 5 of their 6 save opportunities. And this is one of the real strengths of this ball club. Some guys down in that pen who can consistently get you out.
There goes Mitch Williams to get ready. At the end of 7 innings, Nolan Ryan still has a no-hitter. Toronto batting in the bottom of the 8th. He's going for his 6th no-hitter of his career.
Harry, isn't there some sort of deal that a charity gets $1.2 million or something if he does throw that 6th no-hitter?
I think somebody gets $250,000. to the charity.
A few people are donating money in that, so he's on the verge of another one.
42-year-old right-hander. Dan Slaw swings and misses.
Ron Darling went 7 innings, gave up 2 runs on 7 hits. He walked 4. He struck out 3. He was in trouble consistently early in the ball game, fought his way out of it, then gave up the towering home run to Andre Dawson in the 7th.
He swings and he misses.
Aguilera is a man that could start for most any team in the league. He's very frustrated by his demotion to the bullpen here in New York. There's just no place to put him in the starting rotation.
2 strikes in the ball on Dan Slaw. We're in the top of the 8th. There's Randy Myers getting ready for the Mets. Young left-hander. He struck him out. Law goes down swinging. 1 out. Kilgus in his 6 innings allowed 6 hits and 1 run. Didn't walk anybody, fan 4. Here's Dunston, 0 for 2. Fastball outside. Ryan is 42 years old. Amazing, amazing. One and one to count.
Aguilera had elbow surgery last year on July 13th. It disrupted his season. He only pitched in 11 games for the Mets, was 0-4 with a 6.93 ERA. He says he's completely healthy these days.
Come on, Sean. 1 ball, 2 strikes, 1 out. Aguilera, a tall, slim right-hander. Looks like a pitcher and is a pitcher. Struck him out. He didn't even offer at it. 0 for 3 for Dunston. And that is the 8th time that Dunston is fanned and 37 times at bat. 2 out, nobody on. Here's Joe Girardi. Good fastball. 1 strike and nothing, 2 men out. We're in the 8th. That evens it up, a ball and a strike. Looking ahead to their bottom of the 8th, they'll have their good hitters coming up. Tuffle, McReynolds, and Hernandez. Fastball is high, ball 2. 2 balls and a strike. Swung and he missed. 2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 out, nobody on. Aguilera trying to strike out the side. 27-year-old right-hander. A little bit low, ball 3. 3 balls, 2 strikes. Top of the 8th, 2-1 in favor of the Cubs. Fouled it back. 3 balls, 2 strikes. Baltimore shut out Minnesota 3-0. Aguilera delivering. Fouled it back.
Aguilera 6'5", 200 pounds. Davey Johnson has to be very happy with the bullpen he's assembled. And let's watch the mask of Steve Ripley. Startling.
What would have happened if he didn't have a mask on? His facial appearance would be considerably changed.
He looked like a lot of those hockey goalies, Harry, before the advent of the mask.
3 balls, 2 strikes. He fouls it back. Detroit leading in Milwaukee 3-1 at the end of 4. Seattle over Chicago 7-2 in the 5th. And Nolan Ryan pitching the 8th at Toronto with a no-hit game to his credit so far. The pitch. He struck him out. He struck out the side. 1, 2, 3. They go to the bottom of the 8th, 2-1 in favor of the Cubs.
Later today on Channel 9, it's the story of country singer Loretta Lynn. Sissy Spacek stars in Coal Miner's Daughter. Today's 5 o'clock movie on Chicago's very own Channel 9.
Carry back at Shea Stadium as we go into the bottom of the 8th with Tim Tuffle leading it off against Calvin Schiraldi. Liebrand pitched a shutout for Kansas City at Boston today. Milwaukee pitched one for Baltimore over Minnesota. And Nolan Ryan's working on the no-hit shutout in the 8th at Texas. Here's the first pitch. He checked his swing in time. He's going to bunt, actually. Ball 1.
Mitch Williams continues to throw in the bullpen for the Cubs. Vance Law hugging the line is in at 3rd. Mark Grace back, but on the line at 1st.
Ball 2 is high. Let's pause here for station identification.
You're watching Cubs baseball on WGN, Chicago's very own Channel 9.
Ball 3 is high. Nolan Ryan is going to go into the 9th with a no-hit game at Toronto. Shooting for his 6th no-hitter. Ball 4 on 4 pitches. And here's McReynolds. There's Mitch Williams starting to work again. Whoa, bounces it in front of the plate, and Girardi made a nice pickup and goes out to talk to Schiraldi.
Tim Tuffle does not have good speed, and he's had a hip problem. He hasn't even tried to steal a base this year. He might not have needed to, but for the fine play of Joe Girardi behind the plate, that was a tough pitch to stop, and now Girardi looking over in the dugout to see how they want to work Kevin McReynolds.
Ball 6 pitches without a strike.
I think you're going to see Mitch Williams come in to face Keith Hernandez. He's saying, go out and tell him something. Tell him something that's going to make him get the ball over the plate.
He walked Mazzilli to fill the bases and then got the tough wreck on the softly hit high bouncing ball to Sandberg. Sandberg apparently figured he couldn't get Mookie Wilson, although it appeared as if he should have thrown the ball.
I don't know if there's a tougher team in baseball than the New York Mets the last 3 innings of the game. They just keep coming at you, Harry, and their hitters seem to get better as the situation in the game keeps getting tighter.
2 balls, no strikes. Strike call, a fastball.
Joe Girardi caught that ball with the glove up, actually making the low pitch look a little higher. If you catch it with the glove down, you can carry that pitch out of the strike zone. Good catch by Girardi.
There's a drive, way back, it might be, it is! a two-run homer over the left field wall.
Home run number 2 for Kevin McReynolds, and a disastrous blow as far as the Cubs are concerned. RBIs number 5 and 6. And that's the comeback kids, the New York Mets. They do it consistently. You fall behind and then they burn you. Don Zimmer's coming out. This will be it for Calvin Schiraldi. And it's a low fastball. McReynolds drops the head of the bat down. He's strong enough to drive it out of the park over the head of Mitch Webster. And the Cubs find themselves down for the first time today.
Domingo Ramos comes into the ball game at shortstop. They're going to flip-flop their batting order. And we'll be back with more following this message. Well, Kevin McReynolds' second home run of the year came with one on here in the 8th after Tuffle had walked off Schiraldi. And what was a hard-earned 2-0 lead for 6 innings now becomes a 3-2 deficit.
And Mitch Williams comes into the ball game. There you look at his numbers. He threw an inning and 2/3 in the opening game of this series on Thursday night. He gave up a run on 2 hits. He picked up the loss in that one. So Williams comes in 0-1, the ERA at 2.08, on for the 9th time. And he's got to hold him right there. He'll be facing Keith Hernandez, 2 for 3. And nobody out here in the 8th.
Schiraldi worked 1 inning. 2 hits, 2 walks, and 2 runs scored. Struck out 1. And he figures to be the pitcher of record. Here's Hernandez. Here's Schiraldi's pitch to McReynolds.
The low fastball. But McReynolds is very strong and has become a very good clutch hitter. This is a line drive out of the park.
Here's Hernandez. He's 2 out of 3. You know, you said something about hitters. Their hitters get better as the game progresses. And that's the character of their ball club. They're competitive. And the tougher and the closer you come to a nitty-gritty situation, the tougher they are. Better hitters late in the game. That evens it up with a ball and a strike.
That attribute breeds championship teams, Harry, and this team has a lot of history to fall back on as far as winning games late. And their hitters just seem to concentrate more.
There's a pitch foul back. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
Terry Leach up and throwing in the bullpen. Randy Myers was up earlier.
Rick Aguilera only did the strike out the side in the top of the 8th. 2 balls, 2 strikes. A key base on balls to Mazzilli. Led to a run in the 7th. Fouled out of play. A base on balls to Tuffle, the right-hand hitter. Schiraldi couldn't get the ball over 4 pitches in a row. Then McReynolds homered. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Fouled it back.
A good battle right here between a very tough left-hand hitter, a man who gives absolutely no ground to the left-hand pitchers.
Ball low, all 3. Schiraldi, the pitcher of record now for the Cubs. Aguilera for the Mets. In the last 2 innings, that's a third base on ball. And here's Howard Johnson. Fastball low. 1 ball, no strikes. Howard Johnson, the hitter. Frustrating ball game for the Cubs. They always are against the Mets. You find yourself wondering every day how it is they're going to beat you today. How are they going to do it today?
They stay close enough, Harry, with good, solid pitching. And usually the Mets don't beat themselves. They play very strong fundamental baseball, have a pretty good defensive club. But the pitching makes them legitimate. It keeps them in every ball game till their hitting can come along. The hitting has not been very good this year, although it seems to be getting a little better with every passing day.
A bouncing ball foul. Well, Nelson Liriano for Toronto. Triple to right to break Nolan Ryan's bid for a 6th no-hitter. One ball, 2 strikes. And Toronto has scored on Ryan in the bottom of the 9th. One ball, 2 strikes.
Rick Sutcliffe talking with Sean Dunston, talking about situations. Sean going through a very, very tough period.
He struck him out. Mitch Williams thought that was a 3rd out.
Just
That's only the first one. Yeah. 3-2 Mets. The Cubs have one final chance. Here's a 3rd strike.
Good fastball, low and away. And there goes Mitch. He's had enough for this inning. Wait a second, Mitch. You still got 2 more to go.
Domingo Ramos will lead off for the Cubs in the 9th, followed by Walton and Webster. And if anybody gets on, Sandberg. And if anybody else gets on, Dawson. The runner back again. Atlanta leading San Diego 7-4 in the 7th. Houston still has a shutout over Cincinnati 4-0 in the 7th. Montreal leading at St. Louis 4-2 at the end of 6th. And Pittsburgh defeated Philadelphia 6-4. There goes the runner. There's the pitch. He is out trying to steal. From Girardi to Sandberg.
Great throw by Joe Girardi. That one was right on the money. And Keith Hernandez, who doesn't run particularly well, is now 0 for 2 in the stolen base department. Watch this throw. Good snap throw. Waiting for Hernandez as he arrives at the bag. They don't do it much better than that.
Whoa, Carter ducks out of the way. 2 balls and a strike, 2 out. Carter 0 for 3. There's a drive way back. It might be.
turn to cheers as Gary Carter gets a fastball after getting knocked down with a high, tight fastball, and he drives it way back.
And so both of our relief pitchers, Schiraldi and Williams, have given up home runs.
You saw Gary Carter's head right down on that knee-high fastball. He went down and got it. And he drove it well further back than McReynolds.
There's Elston taking a strike. Ground ball, Sandberg. So it is 3 runs on 2 hits. At the end of 8, it's the Mets 4 and the Cubs 2. With Steve Stone and Harry Carey back at Shea Stadium, where the Mets now lead 4-2. Seems like the only time these guys lead you is when they have to win the game. They got 1 in the 7th to make it 2-1. Then they came up with 3 in the 8th.
Phil Stevenson coming on to pinch hit. He's hitting 111. As a pinch hitter, Phil is 0 for 5. And he'll lead off the 9th inning trying to get something going against Rick Aguilera.
Rick Aguilera has fanned 3 men in a row. He's a pitcher of record now. Boy, fine job by Paul Kilgus. Has been wasted. Pitch is low. No, they say on the appeal he swung at it. And the count is even at 1-1. If Montreal holds its lead over St. Louis, which is now 4-2. High, easy, lazy fly ball. Dykstra coming in. 1 out. Here's Jerome Walton, 2 out of 4. Four in a row retired by Rick Aguilera. The Cubs open a homestand Tuesday night against Tommy Lasorda's Los Angeles Dodgers. 6:30 game time. Dodgers also in town the next 2 days. A bunt foul. He's in the hole 0-2. Nolan Ryan went into the 9th with a no-hit game, but was hit by Liriano for a triple. And Texas won the game 4-1. Nolan Ryan came close, but couldn't get it. He was going for his 6th no-hitter. Ground ball foul outside third base.
That's what being a good bunter does to you also. Even though there was 2 strikes, Howard Johnson was still a step in front of the bag. That ball was hit by him, just foul. But it opens up a whole new world if you can bunt, especially if you can bunt to either side.
Hawkins pitching for the Yankees. They lead at Cleveland 5-0 in the 8th. High pop foul out of play. The Phillies got beat at Pittsburgh, gave the Cubs a chance to return home in first place. But with Montreal now ahead of St. Louis 5-2, it looks like there might be a virtual triple tie for first in the National League East. 1 ball, 2 strike. Boy, this is a fine-looking pitcher, this Aguilera. Great pitching form, tall, 6'5", 200-pounder. Good overhanded motion. Ground ball to the shortstop. Got a chance to beat it out to Bank in time. Fine play by Kevin Kelster.
That was a short hop, and Elster just picked it clean. A tough play, but you saw Elster deciding his own hop. He played this ball aggressively. Comes in, off-balance throw, just flips it across with enough on it to retire Walton. The man just does not make any mistakes in the middle of the diamond.
What is this, 77 straight games without an error? 2 out. Mitch Webster, the last hope. Yeah, today 77 straight games for Elster without an error. He adds to his own world record with the passing of every day. The Mets have stopped Webster today 0 for 4. Almost hit him. Swung and he fouled it back. And 1 ball, 2 strikes, 2 out, top of the 9th. It looks like the Cubs road trip will be 3-1, 6 loss. Fouled it back. Sandberg would be next if Webster can get on. One ball, 2 strikes. There's a high fly ball. Mookie Wilson coming in. He can't make the count. Here goes Webster around second. On his way to third. Mookie Wilson ran a long way to move the ball away from him. Got his glove on it and dropped it.
That goes as an error on Mookie Wilson. He did have a long run, but this is a ball he should have caught. He comes across, puts up the glove, and it hits off the end of his glove, bounds away, and Webster all the way to third. Dykstra heads up, retrieves the ball, and stops Webster from scoring, but the Cubs have a life.
Here's Sandberg now, nothing out of 4. 4-2 in favor of the Mets. Fastball is high. Andre Dawson next. And Sandberg can keep it alive. There's a high fly ball, right field. Mookie Wilson. And the Mets have won the ball game and have won the series 3 out of 4 as they beat the Cubs here today 4-2. We'll be back with more following this.